my coding process these days is really simple. It has only 2 steps: plan and then polish. I don't even consider implementation a step anymore. That's just like a thing an agent does somewhere. I'm spending 50% of my time on planning, 50% of my time on polish. The plan step is where I'm really fleshing out what the actual idea is. Typically, it starts as like a general idea of what a feature should be or what I'm building. And then the planning process is turning that vague idea of like, wouldn't it be nice if we could do this thing to like, okay, here's how it's going to work in our code base. Here are the libraries we're going to use. Here are the important edge cases to think about. And really importantly, here are the steps we're going to take. Here are the code changes we'll make in sequence to implement this plan. Once a plan is in that state, and typically I know it's in that state when it's sufficiently clear and unambiguous that I could hand it to a junior engineer and trust them to not do something crazy. Once it's in that state, I'll start sending off individual steps to a cloud agent. Typically for me, that's Cloud Code Web. As the cloud agent is finishing a phase or a step, I'll pull it down locally. I'll glance at the code. I'm not going to do a full code review looking for bugs, like fine grain. I'm just going to make sure there's nothing wild happening here, that we're still basically on the rails. Then I'm going to go ahead and pull it locally, test and verify, make sure things are working the way I expect. And then I'm going to apply my taste. And I think this is the really time consuming and important part of the polish step, is in a world of vibe coding where anyone can build anything in half an hour. Like, what matters is, did you spend time to get the details right? Did you actually sweat the quality and make sure everything just like feels perfect? And what I love about this is like, these are the 2 parts of the process that I really love. I love planning and pulling together all the Legos and envisioning what a feature, like a product, could be, and like thinking about all the pieces we might need to do to get there and how they're going to fit together. And then I love the polish part, where I'm just getting into the details, tweaking the interaction, like a timing to feel just right. And yeah, so that's why I love this, because it's just like the parts I love. I guess to make it more concrete, typically how a plan starts is, it's just like my random notes, where I have so many ideas about things. I put them in a doc somewhere, start them in a doc, and start building it up over time. Maybe I come back to it. Every time I have an idea, I come back to it, put it at the end of the doc. It builds up over time. Eventually I get to this point where I'm going to go and I'm going to say, okay, Claude, go ahead, do the research for this plan, look at the code, look at the libraries, and then turn my notes into an actual plan that we could start implementing. Once we get to that stage, we have a bunch of these phases, where, there's a bunch of different phases for the plan, and I'm going to send off one of those to a cloud agent. It's going to work. As it makes progress, I'm going to go ahead and then, once we go ahead and merge, I'll say, okay, update the plan based on progress. So what we're doing is we're keeping this plan up to date with the code base, by just asking Claude Code to check in with the code base and make sure things look good. As the PRs are merged, I really find it helpful to keep track of all the PRs that are related to a plan. So we're keeping track of the notes of what did we actually implement. And also, here's where the code changes are if we ever need to go look at them again. And we're just sort of building that up over time. And hopefully at the end of the feature, we have this here's everything we did. Here's all the decisions we made. Here's all the code changes. That's the document. And I find in a world where I'm managing a bunch of different agents in parallel, doing a bunch of different things, just having that, this is the doc, here are all the relevant things, super helpful for me. And an important part of this is a lot of it's happening in parallel. So the workflow is, when you're working with agents, there's always downtime. There's just always these moments. And it's really tempting to be I'll hop on YouTube for a little bit while the agent's cooking. But what I found to keep my throughput high with this process is, I'm here prompting Claude on a plan, waiting for it to do some research, or I'm on my machine prompting a local Claude to do some code changes while I'm doing the polishing. There'll be downtime there. During that downtime, I'm coming back to other plans, I'm taking notes, I'm iterating on those ideas. And I find for me, there's typically like 1 to 2 things I'm polishing at a given time and like 2 to 3 plans I'm really like cooking on. But then there's this whole backlog of like ideas that I'm fleshing out. And I think that, is kind of addicting too, where you have like, there's so much to be done, so many different ideas to be working on. And I find this, a way to stay in flow while working with coding agents where I need to wait a few minutes. And yeah, that's my coding process. What you've seen here, this is the new version of Ref coming out soon. If you're excited to try it and you find this process interesting, or you just want to try this thing that I'm showing you here, shoot me an email. Happy to help you get set up in the beta. The beta is going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.